Hey, where does your water come from? Where does it go? When you see it go down the kitchen sink or you flush your toilet, what happens to it after that? Where does your garbage go? When the garbage man takes your garbage, whether it's recycled or not, where does it go? And where do you get your energy from? Amazing. Each one of those can take years of study, but let's just take one. Where do you get your water from? Where does it come from? And I'm not talking about Evian or Fiji water. I'm talking about the water that comes to your home for you and your family to bathe in, shower in, brush your teeth, wash your vegetables. Where does that water come from? Does it come from your own well? Does it come from some other aquifer? Does it come from a pond, a reservoir, a lake, a stream, the ocean? Where does it come from? And who's responsible for making sure that it's safe? Is it a government agency? Is it a private water company? And what are they testing for? How frequently are they doing the tests? And who's ultimately responsible for the water coming out of your tap? Is it the government or is it you? Do you know? If you don't, we have a lot of work to do. Let's start. Welcome to Environmental Justice. This channel is dedicated to providing everyone with a comprehensive and practical approach to your own personal environment. We're going to be doing that by asking questions and having you find out the answers and protecting you and your family. Initially, we're going to be looking at 4 different issues. First is, where does your water come from? Do you know? Is it coming from an aquifer or a river or a pond or a reservoir? Who's testing for it? Whose responsibility is it to test for it? Who's going to make sure that the water coming into your home is safe? We're not talking about Fiji water here, or Evian, or Dasani. We're talking about the water that you and your family take baths in, showers, wash your vegetables, cook your pasta, brush your teeth. Do you know that your water's safe? And then we're going to be looking at, where does that water go? When you wash your clothes and wash your dishes, flush the toilet, the water goes down the sink. Where's it going? Is it being handled in an environmentally appropriate way? Or is it merely just going somewhere and causing a bigger problem further away from you and further in time? The third issue is, where does your garbage go? Do you know where? I don't care if it's recycled or not. Is it being done in an environmentally appropriate way? Or again, are you just causing a bigger problem somewhere in the future? And then, where does your energy come from? Is your power company one that is working hard to use cleaner and better energies? Is it working towards becoming more solar? Or is it just kicking the can down the road? So we're going to approach these 4 questions, but the first one we're going to do today is, where does your water come from? Let's face it, somebody has to be responsible for making sure your water's good, coming to your house. But who's responsible for making sure that the water coming out of your taps, your faucets, is good and safe? Who's responsible for that? Some government agency or some water company? And are you satisfied that just because somebody says they're testing for something, that they're reporting to you in an honest way? What are they testing for? What are the frequencies of testing? Do they have any obligation in telling you if they find something that's bad? And who's responsible for double checking? Is there another government agency overlooking the water company's data? Or is that you? Just because a water company is able to provide water to your home in a safe way, does that mean the pipes inside your home are not adding any pollution to the water that's coming out of the faucet? How do you know? A lot of this is easy to find, but a lot of it is very difficult. National Geographic has published a report that of all the water in the world, 97% of it is salt water, and therefore pretty much undrinkable. Out of the 3% that's left and fresh, 2% of it is frozen up in the polar ice caps. That leaves 1% that is available and accessible to all of us. That's the Great Lakes, that's our ponds and rivers, that's our aquifers, that's where all of our water comes from to drink. And according to them, according to the National Geographic, between 40 and 70% of our available drinking water is polluted already. Think about that. Remember, the United States does not have one universal source of water and one distribution company for that water. Water comes from various different places all over the country. Again, some come from ponds and rivers and aquifers, and even some comes from the ocean. So there's no unique, individual, universal solution to any of this. You're going to have to find out where the water's coming in your area. You would think that if you're in a place like Washington, D.C. or New York City, where there are large reservoirs out in the mountains that can provide your city with quality water, and you have a very active government and boards of health to ensure that your water quality is safe, that you wouldn't have any problems. Think again. For those of you who live in and around Washington, D.C., I think you'd probably be disturbed to know that the people in the Pentagon cannot drink the water. People in the congressional office buildings cannot drink their water. They truck that water in. What are the rest of us supposed to be doing? For those of you in New York City, you would think that all those big, huge, pristine reservoirs upstate provide you with the best water ever. Well, you'd be wrong. And then if you look at people out of the country, take Oregon. Big state, not heavily industrialized. You have people living in Oregon in a beautiful, clean environment, and the people living there are very concerned about the health of their people and the health of their families. You would think that that would be at least one place where the water would be fine to drink at all times. If so, you'd be wrong. So the only way this is going to proceed properly is if each one of you do your own analysis, ask your own questions, follow your own information to the point where you're satisfied with the water quality that you have, or figure out a way of making sure your water is better than it is today. The most important thing is your approach. Don't be satisfied with government reports. Be skeptical. Someone once said that skepticism is the chastity of the intellect, and that it should not be given up very easily. Challenge everybody and everything. If the people of Flint, Michigan did that in 2014, their children would be better off today. It's amazing, isn't it, that they moved the water source in April of 2014, and nobody did anything about it until December of 2015. The local organizations and government agencies that were there to protect the people's water quality, they knew it was bad, and they did nothing. They even hired an outside company to do the analysis. They wanted to make sure they had an outside objective firm that came in and took the samples and made sure that the report was appropriate, and they said the water was fine. Later we found out that that was a fraudulent report. Most important thing you have to do, most important element of your approach, you have to be skeptical of everybody and everything. So we're not going to ask you to come out and march on Earth Day or go to a climate change rally. We're not going to ask you to go to a seminar or a conference. We're going to ask you to take on the personal responsibility necessary of finding out the answers to these 4 questions. We're starting with water. So the first thing you have to do is find out where your water comes from. And then, in the next 2 episodes, we'll be letting you know exactly what to do to push through all the flag catchers, to push through all the bureaucrats that are trying to distract you and dissuade you from finding out the truth. And in that way, you can make everybody's life better and healthier.